I think you're going to be okay. Why AI, even though it is the next thing, it's not necessarily a new thing. So I have a lot of conversations with friends, and I've been in the creative space for almost, I guess over 2 decades at this point. Be it a musician, a videographer, an editor, just a multitude. I mean, I've done some designing as well. And there's a lot of noise coming from that community, especially with the advances of AI, which makes sense. I mean, we're just having almost a month over month improvement on a lot of these platforms that are creating a lot of fear. You know, you had China coming in with DeepSeek, and then that motivated ChatGPT and some other players to really elevate what they were doing much quicker than I think we had thought it might. And now all of a sudden we can do a create image on ChatGPT, and they're pretty good. Like, I've even used it to literally design what you're seeing now. I literally took a photo of the corner of our bedroom and was like, hey, like, design this for me. And it came up with a couple, and some of this stuff, if I showed you the image, you'd be surprised at how close it got and ultimately to what we did. And so there's like obviously some fun ways you can use it, but back to the creative space stuff is, you know, you have your graphic designers, you have your filmmakers, you know, which is a lot of what I do now. Basically, you have this AI generation that is writing better than I can write. It's filming things that I could never dream of filming in areas that I would never be able to go. And then it's creating design and promo stuff, PDFs, all of these things in seconds, if not minutes. And so you have this rapid rate of what it can do, and it doesn't take a person. And I think one of the things that I try to fall back on, and why at the beginning of this I said this isn't necessarily anything new. We saw the same thing with any significant technology, basically like innovation. Obviously, the one that a lot of people will bring up is, agriculture. Whenever you started making these tractors that can then all of a sudden not only do something quicker, but it can take the place of almost 10 to 12 people at the same time. And so you started having all of these farm jobs dry up. And so they moved to the city to try and basically create new jobs and new positions, and business and technology and all of those things grew because of those innovations that were being made. And then you had obviously the internet, and communication became so much easier, and you had jobs being lost there. And then you had social media, jobs being lost, but you got to remember at the same time new jobs were being created the whole time. And so I think the fear is that it will come for your job, and I can't say that that's not true. I think the reality is AI is probably coming for everybody's job to a degree. I mean, even consultants, you have people that are now basically going to ChatGPT or whatever, Claude, and saying, if my company is XYZ, create a business development plan, create a sales script, create a marketing plan, create all of these aspects. And it's doing it really, really well. As somebody who's been in marketing for so long and in that creative space, you know, I've drummed up a few prompts that basically kind of help me ideate and pick through. And at the end of the day, I realized that, man, this is really, really good. I had a conversation with an old friend of mine who's a programmer, and he is terrified of the idea that, you know, this AI can program way quicker than he can on a lot of the basic stuff. Obviously, it can't do the advanced things. And so I guess that's kind of where I want to get at, is that throughout history, we as humans have always had to innovate who we are because of the innovations that we create. We would love to stay where we are and do the same things that we do, but that is not what humans have had to do. And it goes against our human nature. We don't like change. We don't want that. But it is required. And so we need to find ways to level ourselves up, which is kind of your guru way, which is annoying to me, of saying you can't stay where you're at. And I don't care what job you're in or what job you think is secure, you can't stay where you're at. You don't get to. And I would love to be able to say everything's going to be okay, but I don't know if it will be for your job, depending on your position and what you're doing. In the creative space, a lot of people are really scared. I can tell you the ways that I'm trying to overcome it, and I'm almost trying to master it in a way to where I'm able to use it at such a high level that most people can't do that. And I told my programmer friend, I was like, well, learn how to use the AIs that are helping you program at such a high level that you become the guy that those businesses need, because AI on its own is fine, but it has to have parameters. It has to have guardrails. I don't know if we'll ever allow AI to just do its thing without setting a guardrail on it. Because that's what we're all afraid of, right? We're afraid of AI taking over the world. And so I think they're always going to need people who really, really know those models well. And so for my friend who's a programmer, he's going to need to know those AIs that are really, really good at programming really, really well, so that he can be the one that helps implement the things. He can work faster and smarter. We're going to see innovation. I know AI is kind of this really huge disruptor, but I think that we should start looking at what is the tool of AI in the same way of the tractor. You know, what is the tool of AI that's going to allow you to do your job at another level? What innovations now are you going to create because of those things? Because tractors are great and it allowed us to farm quicker. But when you can farm quicker and then you have more of the day left, it's like, well, what am I going to do for the farmers' work? They have that worker mentality. They're not going to just sit on their hands. I'm like, well, I guess I can actually make more food. Maybe I can have more livestock. Maybe I can do more of these things to feed more people. And so I think, yes, AI is coming for your job at some capacity and in some kind of way. And it's going to change the way that you work. And I get it. That's scary. I'm right there with you. Like, I'm not saying this as I just have this absurd amount of confidence that, you know, everything's going to be good, everything's going to be great, don't care. But you need to understand that you're going to have to change. You're going to have to level up. So if this is the first time you're hearing that, like, here's your warning of, yeah, it's coming. And so how are you going to respond? Because what I can tell you now is that if you sit on your hands and you play the victim card and you don't move into that city that they did when all of a sudden agriculture jobs are starting to dry up, like, yeah, you are going to fail. And that is scary if you are not a person that is a mover and a shaker and somebody who is proactive in that way. But you need to start looking at that, because we are in a pivotal time where new things are being made that will change the job market as we know it. And so how are you going to respond to that?